Hello friends, and welcome back to my crafty space. In today's video, I am going to be putting together my first two projects using the Evening Story Kit from Ali Edwards. The two projects that I have picked for today, one of them is going into a 6x8 family story album, and the other one is going into my Traveler's Notebook sized pocket page notebook, which, in case you are wondering, the pocket page notebooks are from Australia. There's a company called The Stamp Spot, and that is where I get these from. So if you're looking, that is the correct store. So the two projects, like I said, one is going in the 6x8, one is going in the pocket page notebook. The 6x8 story is going to be all about just average evenings, what a random average evening looks like for us. And the picture that I chose to use for this is actually a flat lay photo that corresponds to the different things that I journaled about, things that happen on a normal everyday type of night for us. So that is that one. Then for the story in my pocket page notebook, I am going to talk about being a night person and what the end of the day looks like, feels like for me. So I have a picture of myself in my craft space. I have already done my journaling. And then I also have the transparency that I cut down to fit inside of the pocket page. So I am going to go ahead and put you on fast forward while I get this spread put together. And then once I have everything done, I will slow back down and close out for today. So let's go ahead and jump in. All right, so to get started with today's spreads, the first thing I'm going to do is set aside the pocket page notebook spread. We'll do that second. And I'm actually going to get to work first on this one that's all about an average evening in our house. So I had previously cut a piece of a 4x6 journaling card that is the dark navy blue with the stars on top. I had cut that out before, and I believe I had trimmed it down to like 2 inches, or maybe it's 2¼ inches. It was something like that, and decided that I could actually take a little bit more off of it so that there was more room in between the journaling and the photo. The reason I'm going to add that journaling card in between is because I'm actually going to add the evening plastic title piece on top, which is white and then also see-through for portions of it. So by having it placed on top of the dark navy card, you'll actually be able to read it. Whereas if it was on white on white, it would be much more difficult to read, if at all. So that is why we have that piece there. Now for my actual journaling page, what I did is I set up in Photoshop a template where I've got 5 journaling boxes, and it's just a little itty bitty bit of text to give context to the different things that I photographed representing our night. And then I also have 5 circles, which are 3/4 inch in diameter, that I added to the page, and I put those on there in a super light gray color so that once I am ready to embellish this, I can just stick my circle stickers directly onto those spots, and I know that they will be perfectly distanced from each other. So that is a definite trick that I have if you are comfortable using Photoshop and creating templates like that as well. So once I had all of that printed out, what I did is I took a pencil and I drew a line in between the text and the circles. And then I also drew a line from the middle of where the circles are, so in between the circles, down to the bottom of the page, because I wanted to create some kind of separation with my sewing machine. I ultimately, once I get this done, I'll flip it over and decide that I want my lines to go up in between the circles as well. So I'll just grab my ruler and add some additional lines so I can stitch those as well on my sewing machine. When I am drawing lines to stitch, I always use a pencil. You can definitely erase a large portion of the pencil markings once you have the stitching on there. Some of it does remain, so I will, throw that out there. And for me, I don't terribly mind that because it gives it a little bit of additional shadowing so you can tell that the line is there. So that is what we're doing. Now, my sewing machine itself, I get a lot of questions on. This is just a super, super basic sewing machine by the brand Janome, which you can find on Amazon, but you can also find it at Joann's stores. And originally we got this sewing machine to help teach my daughter how to sew. So it's like child friendly. But it's perfect for paper crafting. So I can't recommend it highly enough. Number one, because it's small, so it doesn't take up a lot of space. And number two, because it's really simple to use, because there's not a ton of like extra bells and whistles that you don't need for paper crafting or sewing on paper crafts. So once I had my lines all ready to go, next I can go ahead and adhere everything else down onto this page. So I went ahead and put my photo up at the top. It's got, you know, my flat lay photo that represents all the different things that we do at night, which, you know, Aaron and I typically will have a beer on most nights, not every night, but, you know, a lot of nights we'll have a beer together. I have his phone, which has our monitor app open on it, because we typically have the monitor running so that we can tell if the kids get up. I've got some craft supplies on there because I do a lot of crafting at night. I've got a keyboard from the computer because my husband plays a lot of computer games with his friends at night. I pulled over 2 different like DVDs that we have to just represent some of the shows that we watch. So I have Doctor Who, which we own the first season on DVD, but we're actually on season 12. So, you know, we're far past that one. And then I pulled over a random anime DVD that we have because we're also right now watching an anime show one night a week. Then I've got a bin of toys because we typically pick up the basement, the playroom area every night before we sit down and relax. And then I've got a book because I typically read a book before I go to bed at night, at least one chapter in bed. So just things that represent what we do. Now, I have my evening stuck on there, so I did attach that with a tiny attacher to the card, and then I went ahead and adhered that down in between the photo and the little circle spots. Then I took those circle stickers, they're just cardstock stickers, and put them on each of the gray circles that I had created. And on top of those, I am adding the metal pieces that I felt like best correlated with what I was writing about. So like the wine glass goes to having a beer at night, and the star, I think I talked about watching shows, and the mask, I believe I talked about maybe reading at night, or, you know, something like that. I grabbed my roller date stamp, threw the date on there for when I documented this, because again, like the thing with having young children right now is our nighttime routine as it is in this moment is not going to be the same routine throughout our life. So it will be really interesting and pretty cool to look back on journaling and stories from this kit in particular in the future to see just how much things have changed over the years. So now I'm moving on to my second story, and this one is going inside of my pocket page notebook, which is a traveler's notebook sized album that has pockets every other page. So what I'm going to do for this one is I took the card that says, at the end of the day, I'm feeling. I chopped off just the title portion and added that to the top of a journaling page. So this is a 4 1/4 by 8 1/4 journaling page. Again, you can see where I've added those really light gray circles because I'm going to use the cardstock sticker circles that have text in them to correlate with my journaling. So I started with like end of the day, and then talked about like at the beginning of the end of the day. And then I have night owl to talk about, you know, being a night owl, and then so tired to talk about how I just stay up until I'm just really so tired I can't function anymore. And then, you know, so on and so forth. So after I get the title adhered up at the top, and a little tiny portion I put down at the bottom as well, just to give it some like bookends, I guess, for the text. And then I did go ahead and stick down all of those circles on top of their templated spot. So everything looks really good and evenly spaced, and I'm really liking the way that this is going. I do want to add my date stamp again to this. I'm trying to get better at adding my date stamping to all of my pages, and I'm proud of myself that I'm getting better at it for sure. So that is going to be my journaling. My photo, I'm just going to leave as a photo. So it's just going to be plain and inside the album. And then I also took one of the transparencies. So it's a 6x8 transparency, and I cut it down to 4¼ by 8¼ because since it's a transparency, it's a little bit larger than that. I believe it's 8¼ inches tall by roughly 7 inches wide. So I just trimmed off a little bit of the sides so that I can stick that piece down inside of the pocket. It does have a protective surface on it, so when you're working with that product, just make sure to go ahead and take that portion off. So now it's just all about adhering this into the book. I am using double-sided adhesive from scrapbook.com. It's score tape, and it's my favorite way to add pages into a traveler's notebook like this because it's really strong and I don't have to worry about the pages falling off over the years. I know that it's going to stay as it is. Here's where I'm sticking that transparency down inside of the pocket, and you can see that it just looks really cool right there. I really like the way that that works and gives this a little bit of like see-through aspect, like something that's just a little bit interesting about the page. And then I'm going to stick my photo down on the opposite side, and I'm not going to add any embellishments. I'm just going to leave it as it is, a fairly flat spread, but I still really love the way that this one comes together. All right, friends, there we go. So we've got my first 2 stories using the evening story kit completed, and I think they turned out really, really cool. Now, one of the things I will do for you guys as my patrons is I will actually put in the post down below, I will put a download for both of these templates. So there will be a traveler's notebook sized template just with some boxes to add text in through Photoshop, but the little circles will be there for you in case you want to use that to add your own bullet points. And then I will also put a template in there for this 6x8 where it's got the sections here to add the circles to, and then the little boxes for text. So everything's already spaced out the way it is on my pages. So then you can go ahead and use them however you would like as well. So just, a bonus for being here to say thank you to all of you. I hope that you guys have enjoyed seeing these 2 stories come together. I really love how they both turned out, and I love the variety of stories really that came out of this kit. So I'm looking forward to telling the rest of them and sharing those with you as well. Now, tomorrow you will actually see a blog post that will go up here on Patreon, and that's just going to have images of the completed spreads for the rest of this kit. So those are going to be the videos that I will be creating for Story Kit Crush next month. So you'll see the process videos for all of the other projects come out at that time. But since you guys are here and you have the early access, I did want to go ahead and give you the images so you can see how everything turned out. And if any of those projects also have templates that I'm creating digitally to add my text and things like that, I will include those as downloads in that post as well. So be sure to come back here tomorrow to see how these other stories came together and to grab whatever of those downloads you would like. All right, friends, so that is going to be it for tonight. Until next time, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Bye, friends.